Hello everybody and welcome to this session from Hireable Coder on how to set up your IDE how to set up your laptop for being able to code in Java and JavaScript. But at the outset, what I want to say is it is very important to be able to code in multiple languages in today's world, because maybe you have started practicing with one language, but in your professional exposure, you might be required to code in completely two other languages. So it gives a lot of additional experience if right from the beginning we are able to code in two different languages and are able to actually appreciate the similarities as well as the differences between the languages. So that is why I have chosen Java and JavaScript, two very popular programming languages, and both these languages have some kind of similarities as well as differences. So if we learn to code in both of them right from the beginning, we should be able to gain additional knowledge than we could have by just coding in one language. So let's get started. But it's very important to set up our laptop properly so that we are able to code in both the languages. And this video is about setting up our laptop in the proper way. So first is we need an IDE, which is an integrated development environment, basically an enhanced text editor where we can actually write our code. And while there are many IDEs out there, to start with, I strongly recommend this VS Code, which is from the Microsoft, because that is free and that is also very powerful and versatile. So you can go ahead and download VS Code for your operating system from the link provided. And there are different kinds of installers like zip version or installer. But I would suggest that you can actually download the zipped version, and mostly if you unzip the zipped version, then you will get either a binary if it's on Mac, or you will get a .exe file like code.exe file if it is a Windows environment. And once you open that .exe file like code.exe file or that binary file, then the VS Code editor will open. I will show a demo of how the VS Code editor looks like when you open it. Now, before we actually start writing our code in Java and JavaScript, there are a couple of other things which should be done in VS Code to make our life more easier when we are actually coding with Java and JavaScript. And that is installing some specific plugins, some additional plugins for Java and JavaScript. So here are two extensions that I have listed, which are required for Java and JavaScript respectively, so that your IDE can actually do some syntax highlighting and can also help, at least in Java, to find out methods from a class which you're using. It's not possible to do much in JavaScript because JavaScript is a dynamic type language, and we will see more about it later. But please install these two extensions because they will make your life easier. Now, once we are done with the VS Code setup, which is the IDE, the next step is to actually set up JavaScript and Java for being able to use the core language features. Now, there are various ways of running JavaScript, because JavaScript is such a language which can run both on the client side as well as on the server side. So you can actually run JavaScript even on the Chrome browser console. But here in our video, we will see how to run JavaScript at the back end, and we will use another JavaScript runtime, which is Node.js, which is rather the most popular JavaScript runtime. So I would advise you to go ahead and download the pre-built installer for Node.js from this location, and you can download the pre-built the pre-built installer, and clicking through it will actually install Node.js in your operating system. And how do you know that Node.js is installed properly in your operating system? Once the installer finishes installing, you can issue the command node -v, and that should list the version of Node. So that's it about the setup of Node.js, which will help us to run JavaScript program. The next is about setup of Java. Now, for setting up Java, I would recommend you to download the latest version of Java from the Oracle website and from the link that I provided. I provided the link specifically for the JDK 22 Windows version. Again, there are pre-built installers, and to start with, it is easier if you download the pre-built installer just like Node.js and click through it to get the Java installed in your system. And just like Node.js, if the installer is able to install successfully. The quick proof that Java has been installed in your system is that you can issue the command java -version and it will list the version of Java. Okay? So this is the URL from where you can actually download the Visual Studio Code for free, and you can download corresponding to your operating system. So if you are on Windows or on Mac or on Unix, you can actually download the zip version, which I would suggest to do for a starter, because that is easier to set up. So please go ahead and download the zip version, and remember x64 is basically the 64-bit version, which is more common for Windows, and for Apple, if you are on Mac OS, then then depending on the type of your Mac OS, you can download the Intel chip or the one for the Apple chip. So that was about downloading Visual Studio Code. Similarly, for Node.js, you can navigate to this URL, and then you have different options to download Node.js. But to start with, again, I will suggest you to download from the pre-built installer, so that you can actually download the installer, and you can click through the installer to install Node.js, and then I would suggest to download the highest version, the latest version corresponding to your operating system, which may be Windows, and then the most common Windows is x64. So it will then download the installer for Windows. Similarly, for Java, if you go here, then this is like JDK 22. If you want to go for a lower version of JDK, you can also download it from there, but I would still suggest to actually download from the latest JDK. And here are the 3 tabs corresponding to the operating system. If you are on Windows, then you can download the x64 installer here. So that will download the exe file, which you can click through to download to install Java in your operating system. So that's it then. Thank you for your patience listening. I hope the session was useful, but please go ahead and set up your laptop by downloading and installing VS Code and Java and also Node.js. And here is also my blog post, so you can refer to my blog post for further instructions. And last but not the least, if you have any comments, suggestion, please share those comments, and go ahead and subscribe to my channel and like my video if you really liked my video. Thank you.